The April 22nd sewer commissioners meeting, Elaine, I,
Bill Watson, aye.
anybody on? No. Okay. This is just to give out some more options on the special assessments. Put together a spreadsheet with different tabs and everything. Bottom line comes down to we have 865 additional EIUs to sell. And right now we have 2,850 EIUs currently, and then we'll have additional 865 when the plant's built out. And that gives us 3,715. Just the first page is just showing that what the plant expansion and the leaching field debts are. And behind that is the breakdown on how I got to that. The plant expansion and the leaching fields. And then still pursuing to see if possibly we can use the 1.5 million to help draw down that over 10, 15 years.
All right.
And use that towards some of the debt. So that's what all this is. It's you know, and listening to apparently everybody's concerns about current sewer customers paying more for the leaching fields than future sewer customers. Thought of taking, and again, this can all be decided at the special public hearing we're gonna have. But I'm sure at the public hearing we're gonna have, but just to prepare us for that. Just took the total cost of the project. Now that we know the total EIUs, 3715, divided that by the cost of the project. So current users and future would all be paying the same amount of money per EIU. And that would leave the current sewer customers paying, let's see. The yearly debt is 413,642. Current user customers would be paying 317,192, with futures paying 96,270. But they all would be paying $111 per EIU. So it's just because there's 2,800 current users, their share of the total yearly debt would equates to more percentage wise than the future ones, but they're all paying the same amount of money. So that's an approach we can discuss at the public hearing. We'll wait for Brian to get back, but we're looking at probably Thursday, May 15th, the public hearing. 6:30, because there was some discussion last time about the time we picked.
Right.
We picked like 5 o'clock because of the wrong.
Yeah.
But I'll check the wrong.
Okay. So that way Jeannie can get it in for next week's newspaper, and that'll give us the
The special
2 weeks.
assessment has to be based on how many units each household has.
Correct.
It can't be based on usage. Because you can't calculate.
What?
You know, so
Right.
my house uses 10 times more money than another house. You know, I'm still paying the same, better
And the
assessment.
right, and the thing with the usage is
That-
that can vary year to year.
Yeah.
A quarter to quarter. We
Right.
can't.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you use more, then you pay more,
Right.
obviously, for the treatment of everything. I guess, yeah, I get it.
So, but we'll see what happens. Brian's working with DEP on some stuff, so
Okay,
we'll see what all transpires.
right.
But that's the gist of that. So my big thing is just to put more information in front of everybody again.
Right.
So by the time we get to our public hearing, we'll have different options and robust conversation. Brian, we're thinking of the public hearing for the special assessments, May 15th at 6:30. It's a Thursday night. That way Jeannie can get it in the newspaper for 2 weeks.
So are we still presenting town, because I missed the last meeting, are we still presenting town meeting articles?
Yes,
The way that we were talking about before?
yeah, the leaching fields, we're still gonna ask for 1/3.
Okay.
If we want a handout, we can put a handout together. Jeannie can send it out to everybody for final, and then we can print it for town meeting. We'll just get the moderator's approval on it.
I'm gonna have a couple of questions, but those May 15th, what time?
6:30.
6:30. Public hearing. It comes up, we would have a public hearing.
When it's automatically typed because you put the
Yeah,
P in.
it's not it's not a good thing. 6:30, yeah, it is right there. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. but-
It's okay. That was it. We're just talking about the public hearing and the number of EIUs that we can pretty much settle on that we're gonna have at full capacity. And that's it, really.
And I heard, just as I was walking out, that the idea of using some of our in the bank betterments still on the table. It's
Yes,
discussion.
yes,
Okay.
the 1.6.
We can. Right. No, so. And the other part of doing the presentation, I guess, right?
I gotta figure we put together a fact sheet. And, the facts are, like you said, Brian, no one has paid for the leaching fields because the developer built them at his own expense. So the town never paid for leaching fields, sewer customers never paid for the leaching field. Just go down some facts.
Right, all town buildings don't pay a betterment fee.
Right.
So the entire town should be paying for that percentage,
Right,
as they did at the beginning, when we physically put the plan together.
right, right. I mean, the schools, nobody
And
does.
this was on, from day one, this was, the Davis property was on the list from day one as the permanent solution to this built out treatment plant. That's gotta be come across. I mean, at least I have two people that weren't here, that, not that you weren't here, you guys, but I'm just saying that completely fresh set of eyes, see, it's right there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I found the conceptual map from the late seventies.
The 70s?
Like that, I'm sorry, the late nineties, 97, 97, 96, 97. It shows the Davis property
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, there you go.
And that was, everything was handed to the selectmen to get the ball rolling. with building the plan.
I mean, I think that's for the public to hear is very important. It's just not, we're making this up or anything.
right.
Like I said,
That Davis
if they were saying knucklehead shows up, he messes the whole thing up.
Needed messing up.
Just to play this forward, if at town meeting, the town votes for the 1/3 share of the leaching field debt for this year, does that include? Or how does that play out with this ERU formulation?
I actually if town pays 1/3, the sewer customers would be paying $74 a year rather than 111 for EIU
For this year?
for going forward, yeah.
So-
I see what
Because
you,
this betterment
right,
essentially, or ideally, is just for 1 year. This 1/3
the one that, correct,
contribution
correct,
is for just this year.
correct.
So it would reduce it for this year.
Well, that's a decision we'll have to make at the public hearing, because once we set it, we're gonna set it. But for fiscal 26, we already have the funds to pay that debt.
Yes, we can cover FY 26.
So in theory, we're a year ahead of that debt. Right?
Yeah,
That's
we're
right.
covering this year's debt.
Yes,
And then whatever gets decided going forward on this will then be applied to 2027's
correct.
debt.
So it's like we're always a year ahead.
Yeah.
Let me
So
do that. I'll do
if
that.
the town were to vote to take care of the 1/3 expense this year. You're saying this year's. I guess all the stuff we're doing won't apply till next year anyway. So that'll just help us out with our current situation of funding this internally.
We'll get $400,000, well, okay, without current users would be paying, if they're paying $111 per EIU, in 26, we're gonna collect $317,000 from them. The other 96,000, we were talking about possibly septage revenue for the shortfall and all
Yeah.
that, but so we'd be getting 317,000 in FY 26. That won't be used until 27,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So in 27, we're gonna, if we stay with the 111, even though the 74, whichever way it is, we stay consistent with the same special assessment, even if the town doesn't vote it the second year, because we would have to have an article every year asking for the appropriation. We still have $317,000 towards the debt of 413. And continuing to take in more revenue from the current, we'd have 317 in the bank.
Yeah.
For FY 26 funds.
Yeah.
Then we get to FY 27, we still have the 317 in the bank.
Yeah.
And we're gonna collect another 317. Right?
In 26,
Mm.
or 27, and then 27 for 20, gotcha,
Right?
okay, yeah.
I'll do that out, but that, I think I don't wanna say we'll be fine without the 1/3 because people hear that, oh, you don't need the money. Well, it's not needing, it's the whole thought process, but I think because we're collecting the money in 26, that isn't gonna be utilized till 27. We're gonna be a year ahead
Mhm.
of the of the debt needing to be paid. We should have money in the bank every year. And by then, we should be able to buy at least 3 or 4 years, if not more. I'll play it out. And by then, the water moratorium, the well should be built.
Right, right, things
If-
will start happening.
Yeah, if nothing happens
that
between
period.
now and then anyway.
Yeah.
'Cause I imagine.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that.
Right. Right. So,
Yeah, I expect that question to come up. If the town votes, how would that affect betterment side? But that'll be more for our meeting in May
yes,
than a town meeting discussion.
right.
That's another good point. Are we gonna try, we did a betterment, when we did the rates, O&M rates, we suggested, not finalized, a betterment, an adjusted betterment, I think. But are we going to try to nail down something at this hearing?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where we get into the 40, I happened to be in Sandwich, in Harwich, with my sister, the sewer stopping one house away. So I said, if you need it, I'll get involved with that too. They want the sewer,
Yeah,
they want, this whole neighborhood wants the sewer. So anyways, but the number, that's what I'm going to, the number is at 54,000. And that's a realistic number. I mean, I'm really glad you showed me that, because it does reflect in many ways what the real cost is.
yeah.
And we've always said, the government's gonna pay it, and that's how you pay it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, it shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate the world is, all these escalation things are coming together, which is, Right.
That's-
Yeah.
And that's multiple communities,
it's not just us.
but that sewer system itself, I think Harwich is tying into Chatham sewer system, so it's not just a town by town, it's more, geographic area and how close they are, what access they have to a treatment plant.
So is that a new approach, Brian, that towns can regionalize a sewer system?
Oh, that's what everybody's doing. I mean,
That's
only
the way?
Yeah, it's only, I mean, it's.
Quite a few communities have been doing it too, because you've got.
You have to, I mean, Abington, Rockland, and you got Weymouth, it's its own,
Okay,
you got Weymouth. Think about this. MWRA goes from Boston all the way up to beyond Framingham, from all the way to Natick, Framingham, Wellesley,
Really?
oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought they were just
Yeah.
Boston.
So they go all the way to Lynn, which starts another regional, there's a Lynn Saugus, regional plant up there, okay? And on the south shore, Pembroke goes all the way down to Hingham, Weymouth. It's huge, it's why it's a 2 billion gallon a day treatment plant. Boston, I was involved with this, they're stupid, MDC, they kept trying to defer the treatment, do it the right,
Yeah.
until 1999. Boston collected the sewage into a tank, waiting for the tide to go out. Let it out in the harbor, while the harbor was, it was a third world country into the 21st century, until we spent $1 bazillion. Now it's all fixed, but the regionalization, it's the only way to go. Situate has its own, but they only have 1/3 of the town. Marshfield has 1/2 the town. Duxbury has nothing, and they're gonna be paying, Plymouth only has 1/3 of the town, not even one, but population wise, it's 1/3. Pine Hills has its own sewage treatment plant,
Yeah.
which is 150,000 gallons a day. It's well, actually, it's 350,000. Big, it's almost as half as big as ours. Then the Cape has been fighting this all along, and now they're paying through the nose. But to answer your question, it's the only way the economics really works. Because trying to find a place to discharge this in Massachusetts, you can't have it. What makes Chatham work is they have one of the few remaining surface water discharges. You can't discharge to an ocean by law now. Boston had a pre-existing one, Saugus had a pre-existing one, Marshfield did, Situate did. But what I did in Situate, we ratcheted it up the discharge, so it's 2.5 milligrams per liter nitrogen. We did a whole base study.
Wow.
See, so it's all about nitrogen, it's all about, but that's how Mashpee, fought like hell. So Pompanesett, New Seabury has their own sewage treatment plant, so they basically said to the town, we did our job, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And they have green ponds now. Their color of your shirt, starting in about a month. Every pond, a lot, not every pond, almost all of them, because of the septic from all the, either the small sewage treatment plants that aren't run properly, because I fixed 2 of them, that's why I know that. And all the septic systems and cesspools that are in all the cottages that are still in that. Boswell, they're now spreading out, but it's the only solution. It's the only, you can't afford to build a sewage treatment plant, that's why Chatham, everything's going to Chatham, they had their own sewage treatment plant, so they're just enlarging one, bringing Howard in, bringing Brewster in.
Then our leaching fields become that much,
That's why.
that
those
more
that's
valuable
why
than,
I was so adamant that we had to get those leaching fields, because we didn't have a place to put it.
yeah.
And as Dave knows, down in the Cape, they've changed all their modeling. And the problem is they can't find enough land to get the sewage in the ground and have the mounding effect not be prohibitive, because it starts to affect wells that people have in the, that aren't in the system. I'm telling you, Kingston is so far ahead. That's what we did. It's amazing, and I wish more people appreciated that. And I'm talking to the client.
Wow.
Definitely Dave, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like,
it's so crazy that things come full circle. When I was in college, there was a professor I had who was very involved with politics in the Cape. And he was saying because of the limestone layer, all the septic getting down, and it's just kind of sitting in a giant bathtub. So all the wells that were getting fecal coliform and stuff, and they're gonna start failing. And they might even have to come off Cape for fresh water.
Oh, wow.
So that's why it's so important for these treatment plants to come in play, because that's great. You're gonna help out with their water situation.
And that was just a few years ago. But still.
1992.
That's the time, yeah, that
it's
was,
the kid.
wow.
Kid with gray hair.
You go on and on.
Yeah, it all comes around. It's full circle, definitely. So, and Kingston is way ahead, even though we have this, financial deficit for paying for some of the stuff. It's something that'll last the community for at least the next 20, 30 years.
I've said this in public, just in this fitting, I've said this in public that for me, I said it. This treatment plant isn't big enough for what Kingston really needs.
Oh, I would agree
The
with
sewer
that.
plant we just talked about has Silver Lake, Wingate, all those sewage treatment plants are up there in the directly adjacent to Silver Lake, a major water supply in the watershed headwaters of the Jones River. We're gonna be all put into one plant that the town would run properly and discharge to the sand that's up there, but also taking all that area that has other failing systems. But then you got, I'm waiting for Duxbury, they're kicking the can down the road. And where are they gonna put it? You
Well,
try-
that's why I was asking, I mean,
On their own,
yeah,
on their own. If they try to find a place to put a discharge, there's no place. Everything they have that's woods is also their drinking water supply. Okay, so they can't put the sewage treatment there. They can't put the discharge there. They can't put it in the harbor because that doesn't solve anything. And about the only place left that has the same, we have it, I mean, you see how big the leaching field is, you've been up there, right? We're not talking a little thing. Find 16 acres and that's for us. That's what he's looking at, 3 times that. Try to find 3 times that size, 3 football fields of sand that's 20, 30 feet that thick. To discharge treated wastewater at that level. Good luck.
And according to the math on this, we have 865 additional ERUs.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, I mean,
That's not a whole lot.
no, it isn't.
Look at, we're at 2850, and there's only 865 left.
And that's with, us having to find revenue to pay debt. So like you say all the time, right, we're open for business.
Yeah.
I mean, if water's an issue, then crossing the line doesn't seem to be unheard of nowadays.
Part of the effort that Aaron's doing, along with associated with financial side of what we're doing,
Yeah.
is also to find out, confirm some of those numbers. of
Agreed.
who's at,
Agreed.
and then how many are on, we start adding up, she's counting all the ones on South Street, on Elm Street.
Yeah,
How many houses are there? How many might be added to that? It could be lots that get subdivided in the future, but
yeah,
we have to think of our capacity and add it, take it away from that 865.
right,
And I'm telling you, if you check out this, go to that map that we did, that's updated. There's like 300 on that whole area. It's like a mile and a half long. And that was set aside to protect those wells.
And if there are vacant lots in those areas that pay for ERUs, they've got to jump on build for it before it's not available and then they're not buildable.
right. More than
I would
likely,
assume, right?
yeah. more
If
than
you
likely.
can't tie into the sewer.
Either that or when we get down to where we actually have the real numbers, I know you did the adjustment of, it's not 330, 110 get bedroom.
Yeah.
It's actually that. The water people think 50 is the optimum. It's actually 60 was a real number. So I've always used 60. So that gives us some more wiggle room, but we won't know that until we get these guys hooked up. We get, they will pay it. The flow doesn't stay steady. You have Super Bowl Sunday, you got, goes like this.
Yeah.
But so that's what we gotta think about. We only have to think about it seriously as we get closer to the end. But we have 300,000 gallons, 300,000 gallon capacity above the permit. Which is another really important thing. And I think David doesn't want to fill all the 4 tanks all the time, but. I mean, at least we have thought about the safety factors and that, if we put enough money in the bank. Go to the next phase.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, the hearing on the 15th would be setting the special assessment for the leaching fields and determining a current number for anybody who would be buying the additional capacity for the 825 ERUs. And that's right. When Erin's done, we can have a more concrete number, but that's what we've got based on everything we know today.
What
And
what
that's-
are we currently selling it for?
22 was the last one, 22,000.
They're gonna over double.
Yeah, and if you look at the, which one is it?
Yeah,
This
they'll-
one right here. This one shows that the plant expansion is 22,000. In the leaching fields is 22,000. You had the admin fees for another $500,000. add the interest of 800 million. Both projects combined is approximately $32 million. So if you divide that by the remaining EIUs, it could be in the ballpark of 36 just to pay the debt with no room for capital funds going forward. So that 36 is more of a starting point than an ending point.
Yeah, but then, okay, gotcha.
That's for, at some point soon, that's the new, that's the new betterment for,
Yeah. So that at least gives us some place to start the discussion.
And to give you perspective, I think Brian touched on this, but the number's around 50,000 when you go on the Cape to sign on to sewer system, you're around 51, 52.
900
Is it 50,900?
for Howard, and I think
Yeah.
their project was like over $60 million. Their project,
So-
and
To go at 36, you're getting
I mean,
quite a discount considering a lot of our stuff is already set in place years ago.
and that's it. I mean, we've been very fortunate to get the SRF loans at 2% interest. The Mass Works grants for $4.5 million. I mean, the state's been very good to us. I mean, considering
We've always been ahead of everybody, you know, shoveling the ground.
exactly, and CDM was a big part of that too. Because now these projects are unaffordable.
I just want to go back to something Dave said, that, you're right. If you look bare bones at that 36.
Right.
Just a bare bones. How the Water Management Act and those, in the way we do, you have to think about it this way. Everybody coming into the facility, we have our base core, Rocky Norcadina, nuclear. They got a good deal, really. Because we had a lot of money coming from the state.
Yeah.
And we had a 1/3 in town, but all the other people come in, they are required, the logic, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. They are paying for the capitalization, the improvement of the treatment plants they already have been paid for. Because the cost of those is escalating. So the 22,000 paid down here, but the cost of those and to maintain them and to repair them, not through O&M money, through capital betterment money, goes up. So we're actually, that's why you take that 36, which is the starting point,
Right.
and you add on to that, what do we need to put in the bank so that you're not coming to the board begging for money? No, it's right there. That's the way it's supposed to be. And we don't go back to the users because we've done the fair thing of capturing it as we grow. And when we get done and mature, then it self-sustains. You have no more betterment coming in, but the rates now become a floating number to fill in that, but when you talk to the customer, or the new buyers, they say new for betterment. You can't make us do that. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. No. This is how it works. It's like buying a car in a way. You have to do the maintenance, you gotta do all the stuff. Then you sell it, and you still make some money off it, but it's depreciating. If you want a brand new car and have it run the same way, you gotta pay a lot more money. It's kind of the same logic. You're not selling an old car, you're getting a new car. And these people are coming into a treatment plant that we've maintained as a new functioning thing, so they gotta pay for it.
So using the car analogy, a new car is easily 50,000 and that only lasts you a few years. But I mean, even with the plant expansion, we've been very lucky to have the SBRs completely rebuilt at the cost of the project. I mean, what?
New roof,
Right,
HVAC units.
I ran the 15,000 gallon day, small wastewater treatment plant, of a Barclay unit for the Weston for a private school that was right on the native town line. Weston does not have sewer. Everybody's on a septic system, you believe it or not. That's how they control it.
I hear that's how people do it.
It's not very, it's not really a hidden thing. That's how they do it. They have water, from them, so I took over the plant, was under compliance, they were getting $30,000 a month fees, just penalties. Took it over, fixed it, got it running, and then I said, not that I want to work for you guys, but the water sewer's right there. So I said, literally on the property line. Natick had sewer, they did, I'm not kidding, it was right there, they owned this building, but they couldn't tie in. And they investigated first, so I went back, because I knew all the people at NWA, I went to the rate increases, they said, how do we come up with a way to do this? And through about a year's process, they paid us about, I'm gonna say $90,000 a year to run that plant, with my staff, I think. Which was pretty cheap for the city, and keep them in compliance. So went through the whole process, and this goes back to the Water Management Act and the Information Transfer Act and a bunch of other acts. But all the communities have been on the NWA system. They just built a $2 billion treatment plant. They just upgraded and got all the leaks out of their system. They just did all this money. Get that school into that system was $14 million, just for the right, not done anything yet, just for the right, to pay off all the other communities who had been paying in for decades into the system. And they were right. I mean, why do we pay all this stuff up front? And you got an easy, you got a pass to come in here. You're gonna add more flow, you're gonna have relief sewers, because now the sewers are, no, you pay into the kitty, so then we have to go for a bigger sewer line or a relief sewer over here. It's already there, you paid into it. Then they had to go and figure out how to get rid of infiltration, inflow
Oh,
in the town of Natick,
Oh, geez.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
That was all added on top of the 14 million. I think it was 14 million. But it was, but in the long run, they got rid of $100,000 or $90,000 a year going forward. All the operation and maintenance costs of the thing.
Yeah.
And then to fall out of place to build a new plant was $2 million. But that's the way these things go. So everything I do is in context, because nobody gets the context. Because just, anyone wants to argue, I'm here.
We're gonna call them short stories. My dad joke. My dad used to say that all the time. I'm gonna call you short stories.
So Jeannie will get a handout out to you for next couple of days and provide whatever input, and we'll run it by the moderator.
This is good. This is good.
Any other things we should,
The meeting with legal.
you did?
No, we're on the schedule that's coming up.
Oh, April 30th, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's next Monday, right?
Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday.
Yeah, I
Yes.
got something, I forgot about that.
Yeah, what-
Deleted it.
Refresh.
So, the whole discussion is supposed to be based on the whole special assessment
Okay,
factors. I was in on a meeting the other day, and it involved just making sure that the verbiage for the betterments, I mean, for the articles for town meeting were all agreed to. Some of the stuff we're doing this year on our articles written differently from prior years. So Jay was fine with all that, but also what came up was the special assessments and it was decided that we should probably meet with Jay and speak with him directly. So I set up a meeting for April 30th. And I believe that's at 4 o'clock. And that's here, 203. So one of the concerns that popped up during that meeting was the percentage that would be applied and how it would be applied to current users and future users on the system of the leaching field, so that it's fair for current users, that they're not covering the whole expense, and then obviously a way to charge future users, so everything's fair on the percentages. And I think that's where we're kind of leaning towards more, based on how many ERUs the leaching field is designed for, and then dividing it by the whole number of potential users if we were full.
yeah, rather than just looking at what we currently have, it's just,
Right.
like you said, planted full capacity. This is what everybody would pay, doesn't matter if you're current user or a future user, it's the same price.
And that's somewhat in your numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
but,
That's what triggered me to put
That
the
all-
This is at, I'm sorry, what time is it?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. discuss it. Yeah, that's up, yeah, we kind of covered that, that's good. I heard that was. that happened.
Pretty
So-
heavy hitting in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Oh, kicking off with town meeting
When is time, what's the date?
Saturday.
This comes
This Saturday?
Saturday,
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
We just, I've continued to work with the water department, for the last 2 weeks since we met. Week actually,
They seem to be receptive to the concept of maybe.
I can't say that,
Stretch it.
sorry, I think, so
If the state will allow it.
what I do know is that this was in the meeting I had last Thursday, that was meant to be a technical meeting to try to figure out how to help the water department understand that they didn't have the dilemma they think they have. But what I was told at that meeting is based on a request from town council for an opinion on lifting the moratorium, that it would be not inadvisable by the town council based on the question that was asked of him. And so I followed up, try to clarify that and inform members of the water commission. And I just left the meeting in which that decision was confirmed. And I will continue to work with DEP to help the water department get out of this hole to the best of my ability. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, and with that then, unless somebody has anything else,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
all in favor?
Uh,
Aye.